Hi, everybody. This is Keith at New Groove. I'm back to talk again about belonging. This is going to be a little different than the last couple of videos that I've made. Um, Today, I want to talk about a question that a friend asked me. I was talking to her about a variety of things, and she asked, because of all the things that I've been working on in therapy and kind of going through, how was it that I appeared so comfortable on camera? If control was something that was really important to me because I felt like if I could control everything, I couldn't be made fun of or teased or any of those sort of things. I couldn't be criticized if I had total control over everything. And she brought up the point of, well, you're making videos online, so you're putting yourself out there. And so I've been thinking about that for a little bit now, and it's going to tie into belonging. But first, I want to roll back a little bit and say that when I look around at nature and in the natural world, it gets me curious about humans and how we do things that maybe mimics the natural world, but in a different way. And what I mean by that is if I look at how plants or animals protect themselves, like the giant redwood trees, they got a really thick bark to protect themselves from fire. Or certain plants that might have thorns, like roses, they have thorns, and that helps keep animals from eating them. So there's all these things that the natural world does to protect itself. But as humans, we're not necessarily doing these things to protect ourselves from the same kind of dangers. And I think our ego gets involved a lot. So the protections that we come up with are helping to protect us against things that are more like being teased or criticized. And I think that falls back into ego a little bit. So back to what my friend asked was how how is it that if you haven't completely worked through everything yet and you still aren't comfortable with being criticized and being out in the open that you would make these videos? Well, I think it's because I do have control. Once I thought about it, is I can post the videos and then I can turn off all of comments or anything. I don't even have to go back and look at any of the comments. I just make it, I post it, I'm done with it. Unless I'm talking to a friend of mine and they want to talk about something like, how is it that you have become so comfortable making these videos? And so that's the answer about why I'm so comfortable. It's because I do think I'm still in control. So I haven't gotten over any of that yet. I have just figured out a way to work around it and protect myself. And back to belonging, when we look at the natural world again, so back to the redwood trees or the roses or any other plant or animal, there are particular areas that plants and animals of whatever species thrive the most. And so if you're a redwood tree, you wouldn't be thinking to yourself, oh, I hope a squirrel takes an acorn or a pine cone or whatever all the way off to the middle of the desert because I'm going to grow there and that's where I want to be, away from where I can thrive, where I belong. And and so I think that that sense of belonging and avoiding belonging ties back into our sense of control and our ego. For me, it's very hard to belong, and it takes me a long time to feel some sense of safety and belonging with people. And that's because I have set up all of these protections like thorns or thick bark or whatever it is that I have created to protect me, not physically in my sense, but more of, emotionally. And so that falls back to ego, which I don't think the natural world has any of those protections because of ego. They're just trying to survive and thrive. So to survive, they have things that protect them, and to thrive, they are in the best environment they can be in. And so it's a natural grouping. If you go to see a redwood, it's not one redwood out in the middle of the desert. You go to the redwood forest, and they are thriving. You're in a redwood forest where they all belong. And I just want to mention that right now is a particularly hard time to find belonging and be true to yourself. I want to caution everyone to think about your ego, your old ways of thinking, of ways that are protecting yourself, and when we look at how we have done things in the past to protect ourselves, these systems that we've set up, and for me, it was trying to control everything, so I couldn't be criticized or teased or even bullied if I was in total control. When I look at that, I think, okay, I need to reassess and have a growth mindset and awaken myself to the possibility that I don't need that everywhere anymore, that I found my group to belong in. So right now, I think is a good time to just sit and reassess and think, what is my true self? What things have I been taught or learned in the past, whether it was somebody teaching me something or I learned it as a protection that no longer applies anymore. And I have grown out of those old thoughts and explored something new. And it's okay to explore something new. If you don't like it, you can always go back to how you were thinking before. And which also reminds me of another fun story about, I've got another friend who can explain the theory of the teapot in space, which is, it's a cool theory, but it's about something that's been told to us so many times that we believe it, and we've created our sense of self, maybe our sense of belonging with other people that believe something. And then when we awaken and we say, wait, I'm not 100% sure that I believe that anymore, and I'm going to investigate it. And you might investigate and you might decide, yes, this is where I belong, this is what I believe. But find the groups that you belong in and don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you need to seek a new group where you feel safe to belong in, do it, because you can always go back. So growth is about, it's scary. You need to be vulnerable sometimes. I'm not the best at it. I'm just saying it can be done. It's hard. And you can always, ease into it. You can fall back if that's what you want, but belonging is super important. And right now, it is absolutely critical that we find ways to belong and we don't continue on with our old patterns of thinking that may have been set up to protect us from something and that is preventing us from belonging with a group that would help us to thrive. So that's my thoughts on belonging, and hopefully that answers that question for my other friend of why does it seem like I'm so comfortable. So thanks everybody. I'll post another video soon. Appreciate everybody watching the videos, and if you have more questions or there's something you want me to talk about, just let me know. I'm glad to do that. Thanks.